I'm starting with the introduction to this webinar. This is a Edge Global webinar number 2 as part of the series of Edge Global program webinars, which is presented on the Open Learning Campus and will be available on the World Bank E-Institute for future viewing. My name is Omid Saberi. I'm a senior industry specialist in international finance cooperation, a member of World Bank Group. The webinar will be in 4 sections. First, I will do an introduction to Edge and the certification system. Then I will do an Edge demo, and finally we'll have some questions and answers. Edge helps you to verify the resource efficiency of your building projects in nearly 100 countries. You can use Edge for free to choose most cost-effective options for your resource-efficient design. By only earning a minimum of 20% less energy, water, and embodied energy of materials, your building meets the Edge standard. And finally, you can celebrate your achievements by taking your project all the way to certification now. The certification is offered by local and global certifiers around the world. I will explain that in more detail in a few slides. But you probably would ask where this all started. I'm an architect by profession, and as an architect, when you work with the developers, with your clients, with projects, the first thing that comes, the first question that comes is that it's not really about whether you want to design a green building or not. The question often is how much it will cost and what do I need to do to be green. And this is the question that comes often because there is thousands of solutions for energy efficiency and smart technologies around the world. There are gadgets in the market that you can purchase to have more efficient building. You can have architectural solutions or mechanical or electrical design solutions to reduce the energy intensity of your building. And there are renewable energy options. But what is the best solution for us to select, and really how much it costs? Can we afford to have this? The answer to all of this comes from this question. That's basically this question brought Edge to existence. Edge is a measurable way for you to cut back on resource intensity of your projects in a smart and efficient manner. You can quickly figure out what works for your project and how much it will cost and what kind of difference it will make to your resource efficiency, at the same time to the cost for the users of your building. This is what brings Edge as a tool that can provide unique solutions for your projects. There are several certification products in the market. You probably heard of, green building certification tools in the market, and they are providing fantastic solutions for being green. But what makes Edge different, you probably would ask. Edge is very smart. The front is quite simple. The interface is very simple, but beyond the simple interface, there is a powerful engine that understands the local construction systems, climate conditions, and occupant behavior. Edge is very fast because it gives you a bundle of technical solutions in few minutes. Basically, you can review a project in few minutes and test different solutions for any project. So there's no single prescription for any project. Any project is unique, and the solution to that project would be unique through Edge. Edge is affordable. The software is free to use, and the certification is available at modest cost. But also, Edge is inclusive. The green buildings are suddenly available to all, no matter you are building a very small 40 square meter low-income housing, or you are building a 50,000 square meters 5-star hotel. You can use Edge to design those buildings. With Edge, basically you can design, as I said, affordable homes, you can design high-end apartments, or a luxury villa by the seaside. All of them can have a solution. And then you can also design hotels or resorts, office buildings, hospitals, or retail projects. Edge provides tailored solution to each of these building types. It's really important to mention this because, for example, you can select natural ventilation for guest rooms of a hotel or ceiling fans for an office buildings. Every efficiency measure is tailored to building type. The Edge standard focuses purely on resource efficiency. So, because lots of people would ask whether we are looking at sustainable sites or indoor air quality or thermal comfort or visual comfort. And purely Edge focuses on resource efficiency, and the requirement is, as I mentioned, 20% less energy, 20% less water, and 20% less embodied energy of materials over a local baseline. And it's important to mention that Edge always uses the local baseline for each country and each city. There's no global baseline. If you want to push further, you want to go beyond 20%, you can do that with Edge. You can go and reduce the resource consumption. You can design a net zero energy building using Edge. However, to meet Edge standard, you only need 20% reduction. But the actual saving of your project, if you are saving 90% on energy, 90% on water and materials, that savings will be reflected on your certificate. So the certificate always displays the actual saving of each project. Edge also have another 20% target. You probably would say what that 20% would be. In the countries that we are having specific countries that we are targeting, and there are 5 right now, and we are increasing the number of those countries, we want to reach 20% of all new construction to be Edge certified within 5 to 7 years. And this is a target that we are collectively working towards globally. In terms of certification, we already have done several project certifications, and the new projects are coming in as well. The certification typically takes only a few days. By making certification nearly automatic, what we are trying to do is you can have a new building that can be promoted as Edge preliminary certified before even it's finished building, because you can review the design of project using Edge. This makes it easier to develop a clear value proposition for customers who own, rent, or live in green buildings. Edge certification ensures that a building performance isn't compromised, which leads to a standard asset. That's really what Edge is about, to ensure that there is a trusted performance requirements for each of the projects certified. Edge reduces the investor risk. It attracts better customers and makes a clear branding statement for corporate responsibility and environmental excellence for our clients. This shows some of the Edge certified buildings around the world, from India to South Africa to Lebanon to China to Mexico and Brazil. With Edge, you can learn and share with a truly global community. We are proud to be, one of the largest global communities that connecting the green, like-minded people together around the world. Your building projects can receive visibility and recognition at international level. The number of Edge certified buildings are growing every day. We passed 700,000 square meters of certified buildings in less than a year. And here you can see we have different types of buildings. The office building in China and Vietnam, the hospital in Lebanon, the hotel and residential buildings. Now you probably would ask, what is the process to certify a project? The certification process, we made the certification process very easy and simple to make the process very easy. We are working to make it even faster and easier. You probably would see improvements in the next 6 months and a year to make the process easier and easier, to have everything online, and a process that makes the certification process so simple for the consultants, for the clients, because the main value that EDGE brings is to scale up the green certification globally. There are 5 easy steps to do a certification, design certification, for example. You can create a user profile on EDGE, which I will show how to do that, and design your project. Once you see that you can achieve 20% reductions, you can register your projects and submit a registration fee. Once your project is registered, you can select an auditor, and the auditor will review your project one more time and work with you to do the compliance requirements. I'll show you how the compliance requirements will be accessed. And once you have the compliance requirements, you can apply by submitting your application and the certification fee to EDGE certifiers, who will assess your project. And once they assess your projects and they are happy with your submission, they will certify your project. Now, who are the certifying bodies around the world? I would say we are extremely proud, really proud of working with fantastic people around the world, which are acting as our partners and our EDGE certifiers. Currently, there are 5 local and 2 global certification providers for EDGE. In Costa Rica, India, Indonesia, South Africa, and Vietnam, we have local certifiers in place. And if you have a project in any of these countries, you can reach out to those organizations, select an auditor, and also register for certification. If you have a project outside these 5 countries, these are the 5 countries with the certifiers. If you have any projects outside these countries, then you can reach out to global certifiers. There are 2 global certifiers at the moment, ThinkStep and SGS, and Green Business Certification Inc. You can register your projects, if they are not in those 5 countries, with one of these global certifiers, and there are contact details on EDGE website for each of the certifiers. I'll show you when I go to the software. Now we want to understand what is the certification process and how complex it is. A certification process starts obviously with a client and a project. The project can be registered at the early design stage, or even midway through the design, or even at the construction stage, if the project meets EDGE requirements. The EDGE certifiers will register the project, and the EDGE auditor will be selected to do the design stage review of the project. After design, EDGE auditor prepares the EDGE preliminary design submission for certification. EDGE certifier reviews the information and provides the EDGE certificate. The same process happens at construction. The EDGE auditor will visit the site at construction stage to ensure design elements are installed properly and prepares the construction audit report for final EDGE certification. It is absolutely important for us to make sure that EDGE auditor will do a physical inspection of the project once it's in construction to ensure that project has met the EDGE requirements. This is to ensure there is a trusted third-party verification in place. If you're interested to being an Edge auditor, you can register with local or global certifiers, and they will contact you when there is a need for auditor in your region. You need to do a training and pass the Edge exam to become an auditor. If you are working on a project that wants to get certified, you can contact the Edge local or global certifiers depending where the project is, and start the process of certification. However, you probably have a third scenario where you are working on a project or you are building a project, but you don't want to get certified. That's okay. It's still fine with us. We still encourage you to use Edge software to review your project, to find solutions for improving the design of your project, and there's no cost for it. You can use the software as you wish. And we are happy to answer any questions. Even if you are not certifying your project and you have any questions about your project, you can always reach to us on edge@ifc.org, and we'll gladly answer your questions. Now here, I want to start talking about the software itself. But before that, I just explained that the Edge Online software is free, and we will be hoping to keep it always for free. We don't want to charge any money, even in future, for the software. So don't feel that we are one of those organizations that provide the software for free for the start and then will charge you later. No, there would be no charge for using the software. It takes a few minutes to create an account. Rather than suggesting a perfect scenario, as I mentioned, Edge encourages exploring and providing you instant feedback on each time you consider and what works best for your building project. The other important point to mention is that Edge is not a static requirements. It's an evolving process that constantly adapts to the regulations. There is constant adoption of the costs and materials. And while the 20% goal will remain always constant, the standard changes as local provider practices evolves. I explain what it means. For example, we are now working on the cost database. The cost database will be updated on Edge software. And by updating the Edge software cost database, you would have more accurate costs for all the building types. We are constantly making the costs more and more accurate. You probably would ask again, what else is changing? We have changed the materials embodied energy data. You will be seeing a new materials embodied energy calculator coming on in next few weeks possibly. But also there are changes that are always happening to the certification process to make the certification process easier and easier and everything online. So these are the new things that will be coming in the next few weeks and months and years. The other important thing to mention is that while we are having the online software, there is a work going on behind the scene for next version of the software, which will be released next year, toward the end of next year. So each of these elements are coming together, and World Bank and IFC is committed to work strongly behind the scene to ensure that there is a trusted and secure software access to all our users globally. Now I want to move on to share my screen and explain the software. To start working with the software, it's basically a very simple process. You can log in to Edge software through www.edgebuildings.com. It's very easy access point. When you access the Edge software, you can create a new project. You can open an existing project that you made before, or you can go and see more information. Here, I want to show you the certifiers page. When you click on the certifiers, you would see the 5 local certifiers in 5 countries with the email address of each of them that you can reach out to them. But you can also see the global certifiers and their email addresses that you can reach out to them if you want to, you have any question for any of the global certifiers or local certifiers, you can reach out to them through here. Through the certifiers tab at the bottom of the page. I explained very quickly about creating a new project. Then I want to share with you what resources are available for the auditors, which is a new addition to our website. For example, if you want to build an office by accessing and creating a new project, you can see the building types at the top. When I want to create an office building, you basically select the country. As we mentioned, there are nearly 100 countries. When you select a country, let's say I select Indonesia, you can select any of the cities. There are cities in the software already. If you are designing your project in a city that you don't have in the Edge software, you can contact us and we'll see if we can add that city into the database. You can basically input very basic details in terms of the built-up area. For example, I make the built-up area 20,000 square meters. You can build, let's say, a 10-story office building. Floor-to-floor height is 4 meters, for example. Then you can input some of the information, or you can leave the defaults as they are. There's a selection for the orientation that you can select, and whether your building is using air conditioning and space heating. Because this is in Jakarta, we assume that there is no space heating. You can also see that there is information in the local currency for Jakarta for cost of energy, electricity, diesel, gas, and other elements. We can modify this if you wish. And there's an element for inputting the data for your average temperature if you feel that the city that you're using has different average temperatures to these. That's all you need to do to set your project information. You can now look at the energy efficiency measures here. For example, if I reduce my window to wall ratio to 30%, I can save 12% of my energy. If I insulate my building for wall and roof, I can reach 21%. If I use energy efficiency light bulbs and lighting controls, my energy efficiency reaches to 32%. If I select other elements, for example, let's look at a good cooling system. So I want to use radiant cooling system with very high COP. And now I can reach 31% savings. You can see that the cost here is in million, and the incremental cost, that's the increased cost, and that's the payback in the years. So the payback would be less than 2 years. We can also look at the savings, utility cost, base utility cost, and utility cost reduction. But also you can see the GHG reduction and also the final energy use and final water use for your building. The same, you can look at the water efficiency measures. For example, if I use low flow faucets in the bathrooms, dual flush, and water efficient urinals, I can reach to 30% savings. But probably you would say, in my building I'm also using rainwater harvesting system. So you can select that, and you can adjust the roof area. If you are using 100% of the roof, you can adjust that. So all of these measures are adjustable. We had questions asking whether why this is so low and we cannot get this low flow rate. That's fine. You can always adjust the numbers. For example, if you have 4 liters, you can adjust it to 4 liters. If you have 6 liters, you can adjust it to 6 liters. That is the important point about Edge, that Edge does not prescribe anything. It basically is so flexible that you can select any type of design and measure it by Edge to see whether your design meets the requirements or not. And finally, on materials, the same. You can select a better floor slab with less concrete. You can select a better roof construction, or you can select a better external wall construction, and then it gives you the savings that you require. Each of these elements are connected to each other. Here I can select the type of insulation that I'm using, for example, on the roof and on the wall, and it will reflect the insulation embodied energy here. Basically, that is as much as it takes for you to review a project. But also there are more information if you are willing to explore more information. If, for example, I click on any of these elements, it will give you more information about this element. But if I click again more information, it will take me to a user guide that you can access it for free. The user guides for Edge for all building types are free and provides you more detailed information about the calculations. But also it provides you information about design and construction stage requirements. For example, what you need to do at the design stage to comply with Edge requirements, and what you need to do at post-construction stage to comply with Edge requirements. What is important to mention here is that in Edge, you only need to submit information about the measures that you selected. So you don't need to submit information about everything. You only submit information about what you selected as the efficiency measure, and that would be only verified. And that makes Edge certification process quicker and easier. Rather than reviewing all the documentations, you review specific documentations related to efficiency measures. One more item to mention is that when you click on more information, I'll go back to more information here, and it takes you to ifc.org/edge. Here we have a new page called for auditors, and if you are interested to become an auditor or you are acting as an auditor around the world, you can look at the submission template for homes, hotel, retail, office, and hospital. But you can also download the client submission template to send to your client. These forms, they include checklists. They also include all the calculators that needed in Edge. For example, window to wall ratio calculator or shading calculator. All the calculators are in these templates, and you can download them for free here. So all the submission templates are on the Edge for auditors, and you can access them here. Here I stop, and I want to open for some questions. So we have few questions, and possibly you can select them. The first question is, Edge certification is available all countries around the world, only in US and Europe, only in countries with local partners, in more than 100 countries. Okay, so you're answering, and the answer is correct. You almost 72% answered in more than 100 countries. That's correct. I want to mention that it's not available in USA and Europe at the moment. And it's not available in all countries. It's available in around 100 countries. We move on to the next question. The Edge software is an energy modeling tool. It's a tool for efficient building operation. It's a tool for design and certification of buildings. It's a global standard for resource efficiency. Perfect. Very good answers. The majority of you answered that the Edge is a tool for design and certification of buildings, and that's correct. Some of you answered, almost 4 or 5% of you answered energy modeling tool. It works as an energy modeling tool, but it's not really intended to be an energy modeling tool. It helps you with verification of your building energy consumption with almost 5 to 10% accuracy, but it also can help you to design and certify your building. That's the main aim of Edge software. We can move on to the next. Who certifies Edge projects? Whether Edge global and local auditors certify the projects, or Edge global and local certifiers, IFC or World Bank. Perfect answers. 88% of you answered that Edge global and local certifiers will certify the projects. And 10% responded auditors. Auditors will act to collect the information and prepare the submission, but at the end, the certifiers are the ones that will review the project and certify the projects. Perfect, thank you. We move on to the next question. What makes Edge certification attractive? It is a holistic and covers all sustainability elements. It's quick and smart and makes the process easy. It is only for high-end projects. Perfect, very good. So most of you, 98%, answered it's quick and smart and makes it make the process easy. That's exactly right. Some of you answered it's only for high-end projects. It is for high-end projects, but it is not only for high-end projects. It covers all type of the projects that can be certified using. Thank you very much. Perfect answers. Here we can spend the rest of the time answering the questions. You can type your questions in the chat box and I will read and answer your questions. We have 143 people on the line, and I hope I can, I'm sure I cannot answer 143 questions in the next 15 minutes. But what I suggest is that I will answer as many as I can, and if there are further questions, I will keep track of all questions and will respond to you by email. So there is a question of what are the exact processes to have to become an auditor. The exact process is that if you are an industry, someone that works in green building industry or in construction industry, not only in building industry, what you need to do is to attend one of the global or local certifiers training programs, and to attend you can express your interest through the email address that I showed and say that you want to become an auditor. They will invite you to the training. There would be a 2-day training for auditors. After the training, you can read some of the documents like user guides and take the exam. This was the question that Louisa asked. There's a question that Frio Brazon is asking, what is quasi-steady state model? The answer to that is that basically to make the process of calculations fast, we have not used hourly simulation. The hourly simulation takes much longer time to process. We are using a quasi-steady state that is a more complex simulation from a steady state simulation, and it uses average monthly temperatures. But we have seen that the values that we are getting is close enough to the hourly simulation for this purpose. And that's the model that we are using. This model has been used in Europe for energy performance certificates and in the UK as well. We are happy to provide more information. There's a methodology report on the website that you can download and read. So Alberto Travers is asking that I'm afraid that for a small rural area building, the savings will not be as significant. And it's a very interesting question because we have had some projects that were very simple. You know, you probably had few light bulbs only and very basic building structures. But what is important about Edge that when you have no heating and no cooling system, it uses virtual energy and measures the comfort conditions inside the building. And you can select passive design measures like, you know, shading, natural ventilation, window to wall ratio, and better the conditions inside the building. And by doing that, you can have better building condition and get the certification, and that's through virtual energy. Let me look at the next question. So there is Adi asking, is Edge Auditor must go through CMP program like Lead AP? The answer for that is no. You don't need to go through CMP program to become an Edge Auditor. So Mohsen is asking why Edge don't cover majority of air conditioning system. For instance, in air conditioning options, there is limited options. The interesting thing about Edge is that, again, Edge is not giving you a specific air conditioning system. For example, if your air conditioning is air-cooled or water-cooled, regardless of what technology that is air-cooled or water-cooled is using, if you have the coefficient of performance of your system, you can always adjust it. So basically, you can have any type of air conditioning system in terms of the chiller packages in the system. But if you feel that there are air conditioning systems that we are missing, please write to us and we gladly add that air conditioning options to the system. Okay, Ivan is asking whether it could be applied to existing projects. If you have an existing project, which is you can review the project and see the project can pass Edge requirements, then you can apply for certification for existing projects. We have done few existing projects certified. The only element is that normally because of materials, existing projects can fail. Because the materials is something that you cannot really change in existing building. If you have a specific slab type, you wouldn't be able to change it. But as long as if it meets the Edge requirements on the material, energy, and water, then you can certify existing projects as well. Or if you are doing a refurbishment on the projects, you can always certify a refurbished project. We have done one office building in Lebanon that going through major refurbishment, and it has been certified. So Yi-Young Lee is asking, does Edge takes into account the local building codes and regulations? I would say the answer to that is yes. However, the only caveat is that we are working to bring in more and more codes and regulations into the Edge software. Where the Edge, the building code and regulation is in place but is not implemented. For example, there are countries that Edge, the green building code is in place but is not yet implemented. There we don't add that into Edge. The reason why is that because some of the building codes may push the savings by 20%, 30%, and Edge pushes another 20%. So we don't want if the code is not implemented to push the market to go for 50% energy saving to get certified. If the code is applicable and implemented in the country, then that will be included in EDGE baseline. If you are designing a project in a city and you see that the baseline condition is not as per the code, you can contact the certifiers and request to modify the baseline condition to reflect the code conditions in your baseline. Okay, there is a question about if the EDGE is in place for Latin America. Yes, EDGE is in place in Latin America, and there are already projects that are going through the certification. I think there was a project being certified 2 weeks ago in Greenfield here in Mexico. So there are projects already. So I'm trying to read the questions. There are plenty of them. Daniel is asking, have you guys measured build EDGE certified projects to demonstrate the accuracy of the tool? Very good question, Daniel. That is our goal. What we are doing, for example, in South Africa, there is a project that we are working with. They are building 5,000 homes, all EDGE certified. And they are also building homes with the similar kind of plans without certification, without EDGE certification. We are installing smart meters on all of them to measure the real consumption and adjust the real consumption. Our ideal scenario in future is to have one day measurements from all EDGE certified buildings and release them live online so you can use that, but also be very, very transparent. If we have buildings that are not really performing as we predicted in EDGE software, we will be openly disclosing it to the public. We'll say this is the reality, but we'll find solutions altogether to solve those problems as we face them. For us, it's really important to be transparent and to measure the real consumption and reflect it. Because unless we can deliver for the end user that is using the building, our system has no value at the end of the day. Okay, you're welcome, Daniel. Let me see if there's any other questions here. Okay, Gilberto is asking, where can we find information on cost of EDGE certification? The cost of EDGE certification depends on where your project is. If your project is in one of those 5 countries that we have local partners, you can go to their website. In their website, they already published the cost of EDGE certification. If you are not in those countries, if you are outside those 5 countries, you can contact one of the global partners, and through there you can request for a fee for certification of your project. Basically, you fill up a 1-page form about details of your project, and they will send you the fee proposal within 24 to 48 hours. So you can get the fees. Our goal is that very soon we would have all the fees published online as well, so that you can see, again, transparency. You can see all the fees globally. But with our global partners, because they are started recently, we are still trying to understand, because of the auditors around the world and how that will work, to figure out the exact costing. But for now, you can get the costing through that mechanism through their websites. Okay, there is a question of what is the monitoring frequency of performance of EDGE buildings. We don't have a specific frequency of the performance. What we are looking at to collect the monthly energy bills and water bills from the buildings, and then compare it to EDGE results. That was the question that Sirkan asked. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Edgar is asking, is there a performance path evaluation alternative? The answer, Edgar, is that we don't have any alternative path because I don't think you can find any alternative path that is easier than using Edge software. However, in South Africa, the local partners our local partners, Green Building Council of South Africa, they want to introduce a performance path in South Africa only for homes. And that's kind of our trial method to see how it goes. I hope I answered your question correctly, Edgar. Gilbert is asking that one member of his team registered as an auditor since October and did not receive any reply. My answer to that is that it depends on the location. Right now with global partners, they will train the auditors in different regions based on the applications comes in for certification. Because if there is no application for certification, they would not train the auditors, because right now we are not planning to have auditors if there is no projects. So they will be building together the auditors and the projects. The other important thing to mention here is that we are also introducing a new concept called Edge Consultants. With Edge Consultants, you can have a training and become an Edge consultant without having a specific exam requirements, and then you can basically consult the projects consult the projects with your clients and have projects certified by your clients and act as an Edge consultant. That will be introduced very soon. Okay, another question that is quite important, and I think is important to answer here, is that does IFC have any partnership with financing institutions that may offer better financing rate for Edge buildings? The answer is yes, and we are working on this very aggressively. We are working with our global financial institutions like KfW, AFD, FMO, all the global financial institutions to accept Edge as eligibility criteria for their green buildings. And we already have agreements with multiple of them. For example, in the UK, the financial institutions of UK, they are using Edge as their green building certification. We are also working with FMO at the moment. And we are also looking at the banks, the local banks. I'm going to Lebanon in a week time to talk to Lebanon Central Bank to recognize Edge for their incentive program for green buildings. So if you are working in any country, you can contact your banks, or you can refer them to us, and we can work with them to bring Edge as one of the incentive programs for green buildings. And our goal is to recognize Edge globally as a financing mechanism for green buildings as well. How do I get to become Edge consultant? Edge consultant, there would be training. The training with our local and global partners will be announced on their websites. If you follow them, they will introduce, for example, they are going to have some training in India and in China in the next 2-3 months. And there would be training in Europe as well. And if you attend those trainings, then you can get a certificate of attendance and become Edge consultant. That was a question that Elizabeth asked. And Nishad is asking a question: what is the difference between Edge consultant and Edge auditor? Edge consultant will work only with the client to prepare the documentation, and Edge auditor is the one that reviews the documentation and approves them. Edge consultant cannot submit submission to Edge certifiers. Only Edge auditor can submit to Edge certifiers. Edge consultant basically works with the client. Edge auditor reviews and verifies the information. Nishat, I hope I answered your question correctly. Is there any manual for Edge certification? Of course, there is manuals. You can review the information on Edge website, ifc.org/edge. This is the question from Rami. And user guides, all the user guides are free for download, and you can review them. Okay, we are coming to the end of our time. It's now 1 hour. Thank you, everyone. I'm very, very pleased from your support and help. We will be continuing these webinars in future, and I hope it was useful for you. Please contact us. We will be sending you an update, and let's keep in touch with us. We are very excited and wish you all the best.